All right, ready to dive deep. Today, we're tackling Eckhart Tolle and his book, The Power of Now.
Dense read, right?
Yeah, you guys gave us a stack of excerpts, so we'll try to pull out the most impactful pieces,
Yeah.
help make sense of it all, so you can actually use this stuff in your life.
Absolutely. We'll break it down, connect the dots, and see how it all applies to everyday life.
Okay, let's get into it. Tolle starts off strong. The problem of the mind.
Bold statement for sure.
He's basically saying our minds, the thing we rely on for almost everything, are actually the biggest roadblock to enlightenment and peace.
It's thought-provoking, isn't it? But when you really think about it, it starts to make sense. How often are you really truly present in the moment?
Yeah, I know I'm not.
Tully argues that our minds are pretty much always somewhere else, stuck in the past or worrying about the future.
He even compares the mind to a dog chewing on a bone, over and over and over.
Oh, that's such a good analogy. It captures that obsessive quality. The mind just fixates. And Tully says that something like 80 to 90% of our thoughts are not only repetitive, but actually useless.
Not much, huh?
And not just useless, harmful. They drain our energy, keeping us from really living.
So it's not just about having a busy mind, it's about the types of thoughts we have.
Right. It's about their impact. We've all been there. Our minds are racing, and we end up exhausted, totally drained.
Absolutely.
Tully's not saying we should aim for a mindless existence. He's pointing out the difference between that constant chatter, the ego, and pure awareness. He says, we are not our minds.
Oh, I like that.
We have minds, but we are something much deeper, pure consciousness.
That's a really important distinction. It means we have a choice in which thoughts we engage with. We're not at their mercy.
Right.
So, okay, we're not supposed to stop thinking altogether. So what do?
Tully suggests we become aware of our minds, notice our thoughts, but without judgment, without getting attached. Create space between ourselves and our thoughts so we don't get swept away. Like imagine sitting by a river watching leaves float by.
Okay, I get that.
You see them, but you don't jump in and get carried away by the current.
Easier said than done, right?
Oh, for sure, it takes practice. But the more we do it, the more freedom we find. And this leads us to the power of now, the core of what Tully's talking about.
Right, so the problem is we're trapped in our heads. The solution is to be more present, to be in the now. But how?
Well, Tully believes the present moment is the only place where we can find real peace and joy. He says the past is over, the future is just an illusion, all we have is right now.
Big shift in thinking. Our society is so focused on planning and worrying about the future, always chasing something.
Exactly, we're constantly chasing, and we miss out on what's happening right now. Tully even uses the quote from Jesus, take no thought for the morrow.
I remember that one.
That's it, live in the present. And Tully really argues that we don't hear that message enough. We're constantly told to focus on what's next, what we need to achieve, what we need to buy.
It's true.
But true fulfillment, he says, comes from being present, embracing this moment exactly as it is.
Okay, so starting to see a path here. Less mental chatter about the past and future, and more presence, more awareness of the now. But there's this other concept, a bit scary. The pain body. What is that exactly?
Oh, yeah. The pain body. Basically, it's all the past emotional pain we carry around, often without even realizing it, like this thing that can just erupt.
Yeah, even when things seem good.
Exactly. And Tully describes it as almost a separate entity. It takes over, and it feeds off of negative experiences.
Wow.
It's not happy just replaying old pain. It wants more. It looks for situations that match its energy.
So it's like a cycle. The pain body gets triggered and then looks for more reasons to feel that pain.
Exactly. A vicious cycle. It creates all this drama and negativity in our lives. It's a powerful idea. Explains a lot about why we do the things we do, why we self-sabotage or seek out conflict. The pain body needs to be fed to keep itself going.
Okay, this is getting pretty heavy. We've got the problem of the mind, the power of the now, this pain body lurking around. So where do we go from here? How do we get out of this cycle of suffering? Get to that peace and joy Tully talks about.
That's what we'll explore next. Tully has some practical techniques, insights that can help us break free from the mind, from the pain body, embrace the power of the now.
All right, let's keep going.
Back again. So we were talking about escaping that mental chatter and the pain body, and Tully suggests some, unconventional ways to do that.
Yeah, I was surprised by some of his ideas. Using the body as a path to enlightenment seems kind of opposite of what you'd expect.
Right. A lot of traditions are all about, transcending the body. But Tully's saying, no, embrace the body, don't reject it. He says the body, the inner body, is like a portal to what he calls the unmanifested. That's that realm of pure consciousness, beyond thinking.
Okay, hold on. Inner body, what's that and how do we, like, find it?
Think of it as an energy field, a vibration. That's all through us, different from our physical body, the one we can see and touch. Tully says if we pay attention to the sensations in this inner body, we can become more aware, find a stillness. That goes beyond all the thoughts.
So we're not denying the physical body, but using it to, like, wake up.
Exactly. It's about recognizing how sacred our physical existence is, this miracle of life that's happening right now. Tully says even simple things, like really paying attention to your breath or feeling your feet on the ground, can help.
I never thought of it that way. Why is the inner body so powerful for, like, reaching enlightenment?
Well, it's a bridge between the physical and the formless. Connects our experience to that pure consciousness. When we become aware of our inner bodies, we're tapping into the unmanifested, that place of stillness and peace, beyond all the thinking.
So the body is like a gateway to, I don't know, the divine.
You got it. Not rejecting the body, but using it as a tool for awakening.
This makes sense. But there's something I'm struggling with, this idea of stopping thinking as a portal to the unmanifested. Okay, being aware of our thoughts, I get that. But how do we actually stop thinking? Seems impossible.
It's true. Our minds are like thought machines, constantly going. But Tully's not saying we have to shut our minds down completely. He's talking about creating gaps, moments of quiet, where we can connect with that deeper consciousness.
So pauses between the thoughts.
Yeah.
Moments of silence.
Yeah, that's it. He talks about things like meditation, breathing exercises, focusing on an object or a feeling, even just going for a walk in nature. It's all about quieting the mind, being present.
Our inner world reflecting the outer world. He talks about looking at space, empty space, to find that space of no mind.
Right. When we notice the empty space around us, we can find that same space within, that pure consciousness. It's always there, but our thoughts usually cover it up.
So by quieting our minds, being present, we're stepping into, like, a different reality.
Yes. And that reality is all about peace, joy, a feeling of connection with everything. Suffering disappears because we're not stuck in our thoughts and emotions anymore.
Okay, this is where it gets interesting, and maybe a little spooky. Tolle talks about death as another portal to the unmanifested.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff. He talks about near-death experiences, people seeing a bright light, feeling this amazing peace. Tolle says that light, that's the unmanifested, the source of everything.
Like at death, there's this opening, a glimpse into our true nature. So are you saying if we miss all the other chances to, like, become enlightened, we get one last shot at the end?
That's what he's suggesting. But he also says most people can't fully go through that portal. They're still too attached to the physical world, too identified with their form.
So we need to, what, let go of our attachment to form, connect more with our, I guess, formless essence while we're still alive.
Exactly. The more we practice being present, connecting with our inner body and the unmanifested, the more ready we'll be for that transition when it comes.
Okay, let's shift gears for a second. Talk about surrender. You were saying it's not about giving up, it's about aligning with life. But what does that mean, really, to surrender?
Surrender means accepting this moment just as it is, no resistance, letting go of our need to control everything, to make things different. It's about trusting life, really trusting it.
So letting go of the ego's control.
Yes. The ego wants to be in charge, to run the show. But surrendering means stepping back from that limited perspective, seeing things from a wider view.
But doesn't that mean accepting bad situations?
Yes.
Accepting suffering?
Not at all. It's not about accepting bad situations. It's about accepting the reality of this moment. Fighting reality just creates more suffering. When we surrender, we stop fighting, and that opens us up to the possibility of change.
Like going with the flow instead of swimming upstream.
That's a great way to put it. When we surrender, we align ourselves with the natural flow of life. That flow is always moving towards something better, more whole, more harmonious. We become part of the solution, not the problem.
And Tolle's clear that surrendering doesn't mean being passive. We can still take action, make changes.
Definitely. It's about taking the right action. When we surrender, we're not driven by fear or desire anymore. We act from a place of clarity, wisdom, and compassion.
So our actions are more in line with our, like, true purpose.
Exactly. Surrender connects us with the source, what Tolle calls being. And when we act from that state of being, our actions have a different energy. They're effortless, joyful, and they work.
Like tapping into a power source.
Yeah, a power that's way bigger than our individual egos. It's the power of the universe flowing through us, guiding us.
Okay, let's get real for a minute. How does surrender work in relationships? Tolle says if we can't accept the present moment, we can't truly accept anyone else the way they are.
That's so true. When we're resisting, we're always trying to change people, to fit them into some image we have. It creates conflict, resentment, and ultimately it pushes people away.
So surrendering in relationships means accepting people unconditionally, flaws and all.
Yes, recognizing that everyone is on their own journey. We can't force them to change or to be who we want them to be. When we surrender, we let go of that need to control. We let people be themselves.
It's pretty tough, especially in those close relationships where we have, like, strong opinions about how the other person should be.
For sure, it takes work, self-awareness, a willingness to let go of control, but it's worth it. When we surrender in relationships, we create space for real connection, love, intimacy.
It's like going from a transactional relationship to a transformative one.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Transactional is all about what we can get, but transformative is about growth, ours and theirs. Supporting each other on our journeys, letting the relationship itself be like a catalyst for change.
Tolle also talks about surrender in tough situations, what he calls limit situations. He says that surrendering when things are hard can actually bring us peace, even lead to a spiritual awakening.
It's true. When we're facing illness or loss or anything really difficult, our instinct is to resist, to fight what's happening. But Tolle says that fighting just makes the suffering worse.
So we have to accept what is,
Yeah.
even when it's painful.
Yes, acknowledge the reality of it without trying to deny our feelings or escape. When we surrender, we stop fighting reality, and that allows us to accept it on a deeper level.
But how can acceptance lead to transformation? It sounds like giving up, resigning to fate.
It's the opposite of giving up. It's about finding inner strength, resilience. When we surrender, we stop wasting energy on resisting, and that opens up the possibility of finding a new way through the challenge.
Finding a path through the darkness instead of trying to avoid it.
Yes. Surrender helps us connect with a deeper wisdom, something bigger than ourselves, that can guide us through anything. It's about trusting that there's a purpose to our struggles, even if we can't see it right now.
And Tolle uses some pretty intense examples to show how powerful surrender can be.
Yeah.
Prisoners on death row who find peace by surrendering. A Zen master who becomes enlightened after a, seemingly normal encounter with a busher.
He's showing us that enlightenment can happen anywhere, anytime. It's not about what's happening around us, it's about what's happening inside.
So it's not about seeking out extraordinary experiences, but about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary.
That's it. It's about being present, being aware in every moment, no matter what's going on, recognizing that every experience, even the hard ones, even the boring ones, can wake us up to who we really are.
This has been eye-opening. Surrender isn't about weakness or passivity. It's about this deep inner strength that lets us embrace life fully, the good and the bad.
You said it perfectly. It takes courage to surrender, to let go of that ego-driven perspective, to trust in life. That's the path to true freedom, peace, and ultimately to enlightenment.
Before we go to the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a question. If surrender is the key to unlocking this higher power, to transforming our lives, what are you holding on to too tightly right now? What would it look like to surrender in that area, to let something bigger guide you?
That's a great question to think about. We'll continue exploring the power of now in the last part of our deep dive.
Back for the final part of our deep dive into the power of now. We've covered a lot,
Huh.
but there's this one thing Tolle talks about that really sticks with me. Collective insanity.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
It is. He's really direct about, well, the state of humanity,
Yeah.
or the suffering we create.
He doesn't hold back. But he also offers hope, right? There's this deeper sanity he talks about, this joy of being. And it's available to everyone.
Right, so it's not all doom and gloom. He seems to believe that enlightenment, this isn't just for, like, a special few.
It's our natural state. We're born with it. The trick is uncovering it, peeling back all those layers that are hiding our true nature.
And to get there, we have to accept it all. The light and the darkness. All parts of ourselves and our experiences.
Yeah, it's not about pretending the bad stuff isn't there or pushing it down. He's saying face it, feel it, but don't get lost in it.
Like with the pain body. We talked about that before. We can't just fight it or ignore it.
We have to bring it into the light, be aware of it without judgment.
So we create this separation. We're not the pain, we're the awareness that's seeing the pain.
Exactly. That doesn't mean we become numb or unfeeling. It means we feel it all, but we don't let it control us. There's a stillness inside us that the pain can't touch.
Tully also says it's important to take responsibility for our inner world. Our outer reality is just a reflection of what's happening inside.
Absolutely. If we want to change the world, we have to start with ourselves. Become more conscious, more present, more aligned with who we really are. And that will naturally spread out, affect our relationships, how we interact with everything.
So personal transformation leads to, like, a collective transformation.
That's what he's saying. As more and more people wake up, we reach a tipping point, a shift in consciousness. And that's what will create a better world, more peaceful, more harmonious.
It's a beautiful vision, but it's not easy. It requires a lot from us.
Yeah, we have to get uncomfortable, question everything we think we know, and really change how we exist in the world.
What strikes me is how simple Coley's message is. He's saying enlightenment, true happiness, it's all within us. We don't have to go searching for it. It's already here.
And the way to find it, be present, be aware of this moment, notice your thoughts, your feelings, connect with your inner body, surrender to what is.
This deep dive has been amazing. We've explored so much of the power of now, the mind, the present moment, the power of surrender.
It's a powerful book, a guide to waking up. It shows us the way back to who we really are.
And that journey, it takes courage, commitment, a willingness to embrace everything life throws at us, the good, the bad, all of it.
But it's worth it. The present moment is all you ever have, Tolle says. And when we learn to really live in this moment, we find peace, joy, freedom, more than we can imagine.
We hope this has inspired you to check out The Power of Now. It's a book that can truly change your life. And remember, the power to transform your life is always there, right now. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.